I remember thinking the way the message was worded was charmingly unprofessional. Hey, gorgeous fans only. Private event with me and the crew. Secret location. DM if you're in. It came from a backup account tagged as @Todd Chrisley _official2, verified with a gray check and everything. And sure, it seemed weird. But when you've followed someone for 10 years, watched their family evolve on screen, and always dreamed of meeting them in person, a little weird doesn't stop you. Not me. Not Kendra. Not Danielle. Not Sasha. Not Lisa. We were all longtime fans. Met in a Facebook group. Did a few meetups. Laughed at memes. Swapped rumors. When Kendra got that DM, we all jumped on it. Our names were added to the VIP list, and we got a private address. Somewhere outside of Nashville. Supposedly Todd's new off-the-grid place, because of the haters. Even the secrecy made it feel more real. When we arrived, there was no staff, no cameras, just a gate with our names on a printed guest list, and a keypad to punch in the code we'd all been sent. Once we typed it, the gate opened without a sound. And the house, God, the house was beautiful. White pillars, stone front porch, flickering lanterns beside a wide wooden door. It was like something off a TV Christmas special. So perfectly curated it didn't feel real. And maybe deep down we all knew that. Inside, the foyer had welcome bags with our names written in cursive gold. Each bag had a monogrammed tumbler, a Chrisley Knows Best hoodie, and a personalized card. Mine said, "So glad you're here, sweetie. Get comfy. I'll be with you soon. Red heart, Todd." I smiled. But even then, I felt something off about it. The handwriting didn't match his real signature from the autograph I bought on Etsy 2 years ago. There was no staff, no check-in, no cameras, just us. 5 women who'd driven 5 hours for a weekend none of us would ever forget, and not in the way we imagined. The place was set up like a designer Airbnb. Elegant but warm. Southern farmhouse charm with clean lines and whitewashed walls. Everything looked Instagram-ready. Not a coaster out of place. We found our names on little wooden signs placed on the bedroom doors upstairs. Each room was color-coded. Mine smelled faintly like jasmine and citrus. There was a small framed photo of Todd beside the bed. Same smile as always. Except, when I looked again, the eyes weren't quite right. The smile stretched a little too far. The shadows around his cheekbones seemed painted. I blamed the lighting. The rest of the girls were buzzing, giddy, even. Kendra took a video tour of the house with her phone, but we all knew the no-posting rule from the invite. We figured Todd would let us take selfies with him once he arrived. He was probably being cautious, maybe waiting for PR clearance before making it public. Then the intercom system chimed. "Welcome, ladies," a male voice said, smooth and measured. "We're so glad you made it. Todd will join you shortly. Please relax and enjoy the space. The doors will remain locked for your privacy." We all laughed at the way he said locked. Danielle joked, "I mean, if Todd wants to lock me in here, I'm not complaining." The laughter didn't last long. Because when we tried the front door again, just to be playful, it wouldn't open. None of them would. And that's when the internet cut out. No Wi-Fi. No service. Just static when you tried to stream. Sasha's phone even shut itself off. Danielle was the first to frown. "Is it supposed to be this lockdown?" Kendra checked the guest book. No emergency contact. No numbers. Not even a house manual. Lisa said, "What if this is like an escape room kind of thing? Like a PR stunt?" We all tried to believe that. Until we noticed the hallway camera. It wasn't blinking. It was tracking. We stayed together in the main sitting room that first evening, half out of nervous excitement, half because none of us wanted to admit how uneasy we were. A fire was already lit in the hearth, flickering like someone had timed it perfectly to greet us. Or like someone had just lit it before we arrived. Kendra kept checking the hallway for signs of Todd. "Maybe he's just trying to be fashionably late," Sasha replied, "or he's hiding in the basement to jump scare us like on the Halloween episode." We were laughing, kind of. But it wasn't full laughter anymore. It had a nervous crackle to it, like the air just before lightning. Danielle got up to check her room again, said she'd left her jacket in there. That was the last time any of us saw her. At first, we thought she was taking a long shower or FaceTiming someone. But after 20 minutes, we all got curious, then worried. Her room was empty. Her bag still on the bed. Her jacket slung neatly across the chair by the window. The shower hadn't been used. Her phone sat on the dresser, untouched. And the door to the hallway had closed behind her silently. That was the first time we realized the house didn't make noise. The doors didn't click. The floor didn't creak. Even our voices seemed to land dull against the walls, like the place was swallowing them. Lisa stood in the hallway, arms crossed tight against her chest. Okay. This is messed up. We searched the entire second floor. The attic door was locked. So was the garage downstairs. We didn't dare go into the basement, because the door was open just a crack, and it had been closed before. And we couldn't find Danielle anywhere. That night we tried to sleep, but no one really could. We gathered in Sasha's room, blankets around us like a makeshift sleepover, trying to make light of it. She's probably hiding, Kendra said. You know Danielle. Always looking for her prank moment. But Danielle didn't do silence. She didn't commit this hard. She definitely didn't abandon her phone. She was an Instagram addict, a walking stream of updates. Something was wrong. At one point in the night, I left to grab water. I walked past my room again, and stopped cold. The framed photo beside my bed had changed. Not the frame. Not the background. Just the face. Still Todd, but not quite. The smile was too wide now. Crooked. The left eye was slightly off-center. And for the first time I noticed his collar. It was stained. Like someone had drawn on the shirt with a red marker and tried to smudge it out. I picked up the frame. It felt heavier than before. Behind the photo was something taped to the back of the glass. A small strip of paper. In block handwriting, it read, I know you by name. I dropped the frame. Kendra came running. Then Sasha. Lisa followed. I didn't need to explain. They saw the paper. They saw the photo. Lisa's voice was flat. Go check your own rooms. They scattered. Seconds passed. Sasha screamed. She came running back, holding her own photo, face twisted in horror. It's him. But he's looking at me. Like actually looking. It wasn't like that before. Kendra followed with her photo, trembling. Mine has teeth now. Like he's smiling with teeth. It didn't have that. I swear to God it didn't. We laid the frames out on the hallway floor. Side by side. Each photo slightly different. Each Todd more wrong than the last. All staring outward like they knew we were watching. All except Danielle's. Hers was gone. Just an empty frame. We didn't know the house had cameras until Sasha found the tablet. It was under a couch cushion in the living room. Black, dusty, screen already on, blinking gently like it had been waiting to be noticed. There were 5 camera feeds on the home screen. One for each bedroom. One labeled dining room. And another labeled simply, basement live. Kendra clicked the feed for her room first. Nothing. The screen showed an empty bed, perfectly made. Then mine. Still nothing. Then Danielle's. We all leaned in. The bed was stripped. Her bag was gone. The dresser drawers open. But there, sitting at the edge of the mattress, was a man. A shadow at first. Then clearer as he leaned forward toward the camera. A collared shirt. Blonde gray hair. A wide grin. But it wasn't Todd. Not really. He had Todd's clothes, Todd's posture, even Todd's voice when the speaker activated, because he laughed. Loud, booming, unmistakable. Except the laugh didn't match the face. The eyes didn't move with it. The cheeks didn't crinkle. It was like someone had seen Todd laugh 100 times and was mimicking the shape of it, but not the soul behind it. Then he said, Danielle's room is very comfortable. She says hello. We screamed. We dropped the tablet. When Kendra picked it up again, the feed was gone. replaced by text on a black screen. It's rude to peek. We tried to leave. Again. Every door, locked. Windows, unbreakable. We threw furniture. Used a chair to smash the front glass. Nothing worked. It was like the house was sealed from the inside. Lisa paced the entryway like a caged animal. There has to be a fuse box. A breaker. A weak spot. Kendra was shaking. This is a reality show prank, right? Like, what if this is some big twist episode? Sasha snapped. We just saw a man in Danielle's room. He said she says hello. But maybe. No. There's no maybe anymore. We gathered in the kitchen, turned every light on, tried to feel safer under brightness. It didn't help. That's when the intercom crackled again. Same voice. Only slower this time. Thank you for being such wonderful guests. There are just a few house rules. We froze. Every light in the kitchen dimmed. Rule 1. Do not enter the basement unless invited. The basement door creaked. Not open. Just enough to remind us it was there. Rule 2. The photos are for you. Please don't move them. We glanced toward the stairs. I could already feel the frames in my hands again, like they'd grown heavier the moment I ignored the note. Rule 3. Silence. Then static. Then, if you hear knocking from inside your room, do not answer. Then nothing. Not even a hum. The intercom went dead. A minute later, we heard a soft knock upstairs. 3 slow taps. Then silence. Another knock. A different room. And another. One by one. Always 3 knocks. Always from inside. We didn't go back to our rooms that night. We sat on the kitchen floor, backs to each other, eyes on every entrance. Lisa whispered, "If he wants us, he already knows how to get in." Kendra didn't respond. Her eyes were locked on the hallway. She mouthed Danielle. I followed her gaze. There, on the wall, was a new photo. Same frame. Same spot. But the image inside wasn't Todd. It was Danielle. Eyes closed. Head turned slightly away. And someone's hand, just at the edge of the frame, on her shoulder. By the time daylight broke, if you could call it that, we weren't sleeping, only waiting. The light outside was gray and dim, as if the sky itself didn't want to see what was happening in that house. The curtains never moved. The trees never swayed. The silence outside was unnatural, pressing. We moved together through the house that morning, not speaking much. It felt like if we talked too loud, something might notice. We kept glancing at the hallway where Danielle's photo now sat like a gravestone. Then Sasha found the dining room. We hadn't really noticed it before. The layout of the house shifted somehow, or maybe we just hadn't looked too closely. But the door to the dining room had been closed the whole time, and now it was wide open, like it wanted us to see. A long farmhouse table sat in the center of the room, draped in white cloth, immaculately set. 5 place settings. Polished silverware. Wine glasses with some kind of red liquid inside. Napkins folded neatly on the plates. But there were only 4 chairs. The 5th sat pushed against the wall, splintered and broken, like someone had been tied to it and fought back. On the table, where that chair should have been, the plate was shattered. There was a note beside it. Typed, Chris. Failure to follow the rules will result in your removal from the guest list. Lisa grabbed the note, crumpled it. I'm not playing this sick game. Kendra murmured, we already are. We backed out of the dining room and didn't speak again until we were halfway down the hall. The house was colder now. The temperature had dropped overnight, and no one could explain it. The vents weren't working. The fire had gone out on its own. Every window remained sealed. That's when Lisa decided to try the garage. I don't care if it's locked, she said. I want to know what's behind it. The rest of us hesitated, but followed. What else could we do? Waiting hadn't helped. Ignoring things hadn't helped. Danielle was still gone. The photo hadn't changed. The garage door was heavier than it should have been, but it gave when we shoved it together. No car. Just an open room, concrete floor, and a single door on the far wall, bolted shut from our side. Above it was a metal plate that read, Storage A. We didn't open it, because the walls inside the garage, whitewashed like the rest of the house, were different. Sasha spotted it first. Scratches. Hundreds of them. Fingernail deep. Claw marks, maybe. Lines etched in panic or pain. Some were chaotic, others deliberate. Symbols, maybe. Names. In the back corner, one section had been cleaned. Poorly. Like someone had taken bleach to a puddle and stopped halfway through. There was a word carved in the wood just below it, barely legible through the faded paint. Imposter. Sasha whispered. They thought it was him, too. What do you mean? Kendra asked. She pointed to a section of the wall near the floor, where a message had been scratched hastily. It looks like him. It talks like him. But it's not Todd. Don't let it in. Lisa turned around. Let what in? And that's when we heard the knock. Not at the door behind us. At the hallway wall. 3 slow taps. Then silence. Then the sound of someone walking on the other side of the wall. We ran. We never found out when Kendra disappeared. We only realized she was gone when Lisa asked her something and no one answered. Her blanket was still in the nest of pillows we'd made in the sitting room. Her tumbler was on the floor beside her. But Kendra? Vanished. No sound. No scream. No struggle. Just gone. Like Danielle. We tore the house apart in a frenzy. Ran from room to room, screaming her name. Sasha banged on the windows with a chair until her hands bled. Lisa tried the back doors again, locked, fused. Even the hinges didn't budge. There was no exit. And now we were 3. When we finally calmed down, we found a new photo in the hallway. Same frame. Same spot. Kendra. Eyes closed. Pale. Her hand resting on what looked like a Bible. But in the lower left corner, just barely visible, was something else, an eye. Watching her from the dark. And beneath the frame, a new note. 2 remaining. Please stay until the end. That's when I felt it. The realization hit like a stomach punch. They weren't targeting us randomly. There were 5 bags. 5 place settings. 5 photos. But now only 3 of us were still moving. And the house had only ever intended to keep one. That night, I refused to sleep in any of the bedrooms. I stayed curled up in the hallway beneath the staircase, wrapped in a throw blanket like it could stop whatever was happening. Lisa sat beside me. Sasha paced. Her shoes were gone. She said they disappeared while she was in the bathroom. It's like the house is peeling me down, layer by layer, she whispered. We were losing it, but not imagining it. When I closed my eyes, just for a second, I heard a voice. Low. Right behind me. Whispering through the wall. I turned my head. Nothing. Then again, closer. I leaned against the drywall, pressed my ear to it. Silence. Until a breath exhaled against the wood, too slow, too human. And then, they let me in. I recoiled. Lisa jumped, grabbing my arm. What? The wall, I stammered. Someone's in the wall. Sasha didn't laugh. She just said, I believe you. We started inspecting the walls, tapping, pressing, pushing, until we heard a faint rattle in the upstairs hallway. We followed the sound like moth. It led us to a full-length mirror at the end of the upstairs corridor. None of us remembered it being there before. The frame was ornate. Black. Gold-trimmed. Too fancy for the farmhouse vibe. I reached for it. The mirror was cold. Freezing. Then something moved. Not our reflections. Not behind us. Inside. A figure. Slender. Pale. Wearing a mask that looked like a face, but not quite. One eye larger than the other. A stitched-on grin. It tilted its head, watching us. We all backed away at once. And then the glass pulsed. Just for a second. Like something had tapped it from the inside. Sasha whispered, This isn't a house. Lisa shook her head, pale. No. It's a trap. And suddenly I knew the truth. This place didn't want us as guests. It wanted an audience. We were sitting in the hallway, not speaking, when the smell hit us. Something cooking. Not quite food, close but off. Like burned sugar and iron. like something pretending to be dinner. And then the chime rang out again. The same sound we heard when we first walked in. Ding. From down the hall, the dining room doors had opened again. This time, the lights were low and flickering. Candles now lined the table. The 3 remaining chairs had been moved closer together at the head of the table. New silverware, fresh plates, red wine already poured. But there were only 2 name cards left. I stepped in, slowly. Lisa followed. Sasha hung back, staring at the candles. I picked up the first name card, Sasha. Then the second, Lisa. I looked around. There's none for me. Lisa grabbed the edge of the table, her voice shaking. He's choosing. Sasha finally entered. She walked around the table once, looking at each of us, then down at her card. And then she said something that made the air stop moving. I'll stay. Lisa looked at her like she'd slapped her. What are you talking about? I think this house needs a sacrifice, Sasha said, voice low. I think if someone agrees to stay willingly, it lets the others go. I shook my head. No. That's what it wants you to believe. That's how it gets in your head. Sasha smiled sadly. It already is. We begged her. Lisa cried. I tried to drag her away from the table. But Sasha only leaned down, picked up her name card, and set it in front of the center chair. Then she turned to the hallway, where the mirror had appeared earlier. And in its place now there was a door. Not like the others in the house. This one was newer. Clean white paint. Brass knob. A sign hung from it. Private. For staff only. Sasha reached for the knob. Lisa shouted, "Don't you dare." Sasha turned back to us, her hand hovering over the handle. "If this doesn't work," she said, "you'll know soon." And then she opened it and stepped inside. The door closed behind her. We ran to it. Nothing. No handle. No hinges. Just a blank stretch of wall where the door had been. Lisa collapsed against it, screaming her name. Hitting the drywall. Pleading. Then the intercom crackled. "One seat has been filled. One guest remains." Lisa whispered, "No. No, no, no." I pulled her up. "Come on. Where are we going? To end this." We moved back through the house. Every room darker now. Every hallway longer, stretched like the place was changing shape. Mirrors on the walls where there hadn't been any before. And in each one, our reflections twitched a little behind the real movement, like they were lagging, or waiting. Finally, in the center of the foyer, we saw it. The front door. Open. Just slightly. The only light beyond it was the blue-gray tint of a sky just before sunrise. Lisa looked at me. "Do we run?" "No more rules," I said. And we sprinted. No photos chased us. No doors slammed. No walls closed in. We ran. Out the front door. Down the gravel drive. And just when the fog began to clear, we heard it. The house groaning behind us. Not like it was settling, but like it was watching. We made it to the road just as the sun broke the horizon. It wasn't warm, not yet. But it felt real. The breeze. The sound of birds. The ache in my legs from running. For the first time in what felt like days, the world around us was moving again. We flagged down a pickup truck just before 6 a.m. The driver didn't ask why we were barefoot and panicked. He just looked at us once, handed us a bottle of water, and said, "Y'all from that Airbnb out near the pasture?" We hesitated. "Yeah," Lisa said. "But it's not an Airbnb." He just nodded slowly, like he already knew. We didn't say anything else during the ride into town. He dropped us off at a diner with an old phone booth and a help wanted sign. The place looked like it hadn't changed since 1987, but the pancakes smelled like heaven. We sat in silence at a corner booth until the waitress poured us coffee and asked if we wanted a radio while we waited for our ride. We said yes, just for something normal. She brought a little battery-powered FM model already tuned. That's when we heard it. Todd Chrisley. His voice. Laughing. Talking about holiday recipes and southern hospitality. Something felt familiar and sickening. Lisa turned to the waitress. Is that live? She gave us a strange look. No, that's a rerun. That man hasn't recorded anything in months. Poor thing's in federal custody, isn't he? We stared at each other. Lisa whispered, then who the hell was in that house? When our ride finally arrived, some cousin of Lisa's who didn't ask enough questions, we were already pulling away when the waitress ran outside. You forgot this. She handed us a cardboard box. Said it had been dropped off at the counter for us that morning. No note. Just our names handwritten across the top in thick marker. We opened it halfway down the road. Inside was a VHS tape, labeled only with 2 words, The Guest. We found an old player at Lisa's house. Her dad still had one hooked to the TV in the garage. We put the tape in. Static at first. Then, footage of us walking into the house, laughing, making jokes about Todd, sitting on the couch, exploring the rooms. Then, the first night, Danielle disappearing. But the camera wasn't from any device we'd seen. It was like the angles came from inside the walls. Then it changed. A new angle. Black and white. A room we didn't recognize. Stone walls. A single light bulb swinging above a chair. Danielle sat there, unmoving. Something behind her. A shape. Tall. Wearing a mask like a human face, stitched and smiling. The next scene, Kendra, curled in the corner, whispering a prayer. Then Sasha, not scared, but speaking directly to the camera. I offered myself. Are you satisfied? The figure didn't respond. It only leaned closer. Then the screen went black. Final frame. White text on a black screen. Thank you for attending the meet and greet. Then the tape stopped. The room was quiet. Lisa stood up, shaking. We weren't messaging Todd. No, I said. We were messaging something that used him. Lisa went home. Or back to what was left of it. I couldn't. Something in me wouldn't let it go. I had to know what that house really was. Who or what was pretending to be Todd. And why it needed us. So I went back. Alone. I knew better. But I also knew I'd never sleep again if I didn't see it through. I left everything behind. Took a rental car and a flashlight and arrived just after sundown. The gravel drive was overgrown now. Like it had been abandoned for years. But the porch lights were on. I stepped inside without knocking. The house didn't creak or shift this time. It just welcomed me in. I passed through the entryway, through the kitchen, and back into the dining room. That's where I found it. The table was still set, but everything was rotting. The napkins were moth-eaten. The wine glasses cloudy. The air reeked of mildew and meat left too long in the sun. But the chair at the head of the table was new. Polished. Waiting. And on the table before it lay a row of tools. Surgical. Clean. A bone saw. A length of cord. A pair of scissors, long and rusted. A box of thread. And next to them, a mirror. Small. Handheld. And cracked. When I leaned in, the mirror didn't reflect the room behind me. It reflected a different version of me. Wearing pearls. A smile too wide. And in the background, behind her, the shape of a man in a perfectly pressed suit. He leaned in, just slightly, and whispered one final word. Smile. The lights flickered. The door slammed behind me. And then, the chair pulled itself out with a screech. I didn't scream. Not then. Because I understood. The meet and greet was never about fans meeting a celebrity. It was about something else finding a host. And I was the last one on the list.